welcome to Hickory Brook Farm. So, many years ago, when I left school, I had two main ambitions in life. One was to get married, and two was to work on a farm. But from working on a farm, I wanted then to be sort of, if you like, part two of that ambition was to then eventually get my own small holding, start from the very bottom, my own little sort of market stall, if you like, or whatever, start selling the produce that we were producing, and going sort of into bees and honey and all of that sort of good stuff, and sort of make a small little business, growing our own stuff and selling our own produce on our own little, whether it be a market stall or a little stall outside the house or whatever. And sadly, obviously, due to circumstances, sort of beyond my control, if you like, that never really happened. Well, it didn't happen. It's not that it never really happened. It didn't happen. But they were my two main ambitions. And as I say, due to sort of, in 2013, in the March of that year, my heart sort of decided that things were going to be a lot tougher from now on. So unfortunately, I still had to leave the farm, but it meant that I didn't have, even though I'd saved up the money, we'd been accepted by two councils for small holdings. I was with a girl at the time. We were engaged, and at that point in my life, I think it was the December of the year before, we'd been accepted on as small holding tenant. So it meant that as soon as one was to come available, we would we would be able to sort of take that on. And then by the March of the sort of following year, so just after Christmas in March, as I say, my heart decided that things were not going to be quite as easy and smooth as what they had been sort of pretty much my whole life. And yes, I'd saved the money. Yes, we'd been accepted, but I'd physically, I was no longer capable of doing the amount of work and effort that would have needed to have been done in order to have made something like that work. So I had to leave the farm. From the farm, I went to Tesco's, and I'd sort of worked there for a while, but things still were gradually getting, sort of worse and worse, and eventually I had to give up Tesco's. I was there for about 3 years. I didn't really like it. It was a job. It was earning me money. I didn't like being indoors. I'm someone that wants to be outdoors all the time, and I just felt the massive, huge wall-length window that was right next to where I was working was kind of rubbing my face in it, because I'm looking at the outside world, thinking I want to be outside. As I say, but things, I would have carried on. It was a job, and it was earning money, so I would have carried on. But a bit later on that year, so I think, as I say, I was there for 3 years, and then in the early part of 2016, I think it was, I may have got the timings a little bit wrong. I can't remember exactly, but my dad got made redundant in 2014, I think it was 2013, 14, something like that. No, it was actually 2012 when my dad got made redundant. It was the year that I had just been promoted at work. And I remember that he'd been made redundant, and he'd had this sort of kick in the teeth where he'd gone, as you do, to the job centre to get help, and they basically said, no, you've got a house, you own the house, no help coming, sell the house, spend the money, and then we'll help. As is typical of this country, and the governments, they just kick the ordinary hard-working people in the mouth and say, get lost. So anyway, long story short, Dad basically went home, set up a little stall outside the house, went to auctions and bought things dirt cheap, sold them on the front of the house. We all thought he was nuts. 2 years later, or 4 years later, in 2016, I've obviously had to give up work, and Dad said to me, why don't me and you go into business? I can do most of the work. You're really good at computers and, putting things online and stuff like that. He said, I wouldn't have a clue. You can do that. I can do the other. We can go out each day, to market stalls, to this, that, and everything else. Pick up stuff really cheap. You can scour the internet for, really cheap things. And together, we can just sort of become traders, basically. And, he said, and we'll literally trade anything. The sort of Dell Rodney of Sutton St James, and that went sort of like really well. Eventually, unfortunately, sort of my dad in 2018 got diagnosed with lung cancer, or no, 2017 that was. And then in the August of the following year, he sadly passed on, and I couldn't carry on what we'd sort of kind of been doing, because physically I just wasn't capable. He was doing like sort of all the heavy lifting, carrying and everything like that, and I couldn't do it. But it then got me thinking. I was looking through some things the other day. I was going through some old stuff. We were cleaning out the house, and I sort of saw a few pictures of the stall, and me and my dad and what have you, and I was kind of like, farming sim can make those dreams come true. Now, just because it might work out on farming sim doesn't mean it would have worked out in real life for me. Who knows? I had passion, I had hard work, I had all of the, I think, essential ingredients that you need to make a business work, and that was kind of where I was at. But as I say, sadly my health let me down, and then as I say, with my dad passing, it was it was not to be from that front either. But yes, farming sim. So we are minus £10,000, and that's basically because we had to buy a stall to put outside the house. So we came here, we purchased, so this, I'll give you a little bit of a rundown of where we are. So we're at Hickory Brook Farm, and yes, I've purchased a little stall to go outside for the passing traffic, which, as you can see, is not much. Business looks like it's going to go well fairly early on. And for our 500 grand mortgage, we got this house, we got this land here, we got obviously a garage, and the land goes all the way around the back here to the road on this side, and then there's 2 cars on this road. Maybe I should move the stall. I think we'll be okay. So it goes all the way around here, comes all the way up here, goes round the back of the neighbours, and then just roughly where the crosshair is, there's a lane sort of across there, and the lane runs down the side of that field. In fact, it's easier if I just take you there. Runs down the side of that field. We don't own that field. That's not our land. And this side is not our land either. I know it's the same field sort of thing, but none of this side of the lane is ours. And then our sort of land runs all the way down the back here. And then on the other side there's 2 fields, a field. There's 2 fields there, but we only own this one. So the you can see the sort of where the crop is. That's someone else's land, and all of that is someone else's land. We literally just own this bit here, that there, and then up to the lane where I showed you the other side. Now, the farm that we've taken on, or the business that went bust, that we've taken on, me and my computer wife Kay have taken on this business, and I completely lost my train of thought there. I do apologise. Just my head went completely blank. So we've taken on this business. This business was, as you can see, almost a little market garden itself, but they went bust. And they also had a workshop, and apparently the woman ran the garden side of things, the husband ran the workshop side of things. And according to the locals, because I did do my research before I came here, because I didn't really want to be buying a business that was on a main road that had gone bust, because that kind of tells me that no one's buying. But when I started to speak to the locals and the neighbours, they said the biggest problem with them was they were always shut. They were open for a couple of hours on a Saturday morning and a couple of hours on a Wednesday, and that was it. You didn't really see much else of them. So there's no wonder the business went shut or bust, because they were always shut. This business will be open 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. My long-term ambition for this project, this market garden project, is that eventually we will have our own farm shop, and I mean big farm shop, where we can sell everything. And of course, at the moment we don't own no tractors, we don't own nothing. We've got no vehicles, we've got nothing other than the greenhouses that have produced one pallet of chicken. That greenhouse did well if it produced a pallet of chicken. And this greenhouse that also produced one pallet of chilies. It's going to be really tough, it's going to be really interesting, but as I say, eventually we're going to be able to produce our own honey, we can get beehives, we can produce our own honey, and a long way down the line when we do start farming, because we will at some point have to start farming, because we can only produce what these polytunnels produce. Eventually we'll get the mushroom ones as well, but we're a long way from that. But eventually the plan is that we are going to then buy, as I say, a bigger farm shop, and in that we want to be selling honey. We can sell our own bread, our own flour, our preserved vegetables, carrots, beets and parsnips, potatoes, our own soup, our own chips, our own chocolate, our own cooking oils, and different things like that. So eventually I want it so that wherever the farmers market will be, that we have it. Wherever we in the end decide to build it, we will be able to literally sell everything that we can produce, and that includes mozzarella, getting animals, getting cows, getting sheep, selling our own merch, our own t-shirts and stuff like that, our own rope. Literally the plan is that we will be eventually doing everything. But for today, unfortunately, we have got 2 trays of chili. So it's going to be a bit of a long haul, this one. This one is going to be a save that will develop over time. I have pre-run this, so I do know that everything that I intend to do does work, which is very important when you start a YouTube save, that you make sure everything works. So yeah, that's kind of what we're going to do. So sadly for today we need to skip time, because if you were starting a market farm, I don't think you'd be doing contracts for other farmers. Not only that is a quick way to make money, and the point is that if you were doing this by yourself, it would take years and years and years to build this to anything that becomes even remotely profitable. Like I say, we've got a 500 grand loan. We're in debt. The bank have said that each day we must pay the interest of the loan, but we don't have to start paying the actual mortgage back until we're in credit. But every day we have to pay the interest. So yeah, it's going to be tough, but as I say, hopefully we will get there. So let me know in the comments what you think about the save. I'm very excited about it, because as I say, I've always kind of wanted to do it in real life, and never got the chance, never got the opportunity. But Farming Sim gives you that chance, gives you that opportunity, and let's see if we can do it. Like I say, this is a lovely area that we've got here. Like I say, it's a very sort of expensive area, 500 grand. But as the estate agent said, had this been a successful business, had this been a thriving business, it would be worth a lot more than 500 grand. So we paid the bank because they repossessed the house. Off the couple that owned it before us, and they sold it and they auctioned it off, and it cost us 500,000 to purchase. And this is our story. This is our legacy that we're going to build over the next, however many years that we can, physically carry on doing it for. By the looks of things, someone's driven over this field overnight, because that wasn't there yesterday. And I don't own any vehicles, so someone is obviously targeting us straight away. Charming. Anyway, hopefully people will buy our produce, hopefully people will buy what we produce, and we can start to make a headway on getting somewhere. I mean, the short-term goal, get out of debt, start paying a little bit of the loan off, even if we only pay £5,000 off, sort of a day or a month. £5,000 a month off is our aim. If we can do that, that will be fantastic. And more greenhouses. We'd like to go into mushrooms. Like I say, we can go into honey, we can eventually go into bread, but everything that we do, we have to produce ourselves. We cannot rely on any other source of income. So, like I say, no contracts, nothing where we get another source of income. Everything we do has to be done from this land and any subsequent land that we choose to buy and own thereafter. So it's going to be a bit of a tough one, but I'm going to switch over to a little bit of time lapse, because for the next long while this is going to be just me doing this. So I will see you in a little while. So things are going very well at the moment. We've made a little bit of money. Just pay off another 10,000 of the loan, and as I say, we're not going too bad at the moment. One thing, incidentally, that I forgot to mention in the first part of the video is we won't be buying anything brand new, not until we're millionaires. Because again, the reason being is you just wouldn't do it in real life, unless you were millionaires. You really wouldn't do it. It's a shame that we can't have the lease to buy mod in the game, because that would be a nice way of doing it, that I could then lease something. It would be on hired purchase, and every day we'd get charged the repayment for that. So basically the daily lease cost is, rather than being a lease cost, you're paying that much off of the bill. So if the vehicle that you're buying is 10,000 and the daily cost is 800, well, every day 800 gets deducted from the 10,000. So eventually you lease to buy, because you'll then own the vehicle once you've paid the loan off. Because the one thing that we do need desperately, and I don't think, no, there wasn't anything in there, is a vehicle of some sort to transfer those pallets to there. At the moment we're absolutely fine, because Jesus, we're only carrying 3 pallets a day. Do you know what I mean? And some days it's slightly more, but in the future. Like I say, 'cause down here, I mean, if you sort of look at the area that we sort of own, so we've got, you know, that grass out there, as I say, to that lane, then coming down here, goes down the side of the house. You know, we own all that. We own all this, obviously. You know, well, this is prime greenhouse. Building plots, we own this here, you know, obviously all of this up here. Well, you know, I've sort of, as I've been sort of taking the pallets to there, I've been kind of thinking, well, what could I put here? But I think we eventually, I would like to get a mushroom polytunnel, and we could put that there, I think. I don't know whether we'd be able to have another one here or not. You know, you've also, while you're doing this, you've got to think long term. So it's like, okay, well, you know, that's the immediate goals and aims, but long term, what would be, you know, what, you know, say 10, 15 years in the future, you know, how would we like this to look, and what do we think we'll be doing at that point? And, you know, obviously that's eventually we're going to outgrow that. You know, there's no two ways about it. Eventually we're going to outgrow that. So it's a case, as I say, of, you know, what do we do? What do we put there? What, you know, it needs to be, all needs to be sort of, you know, as I say, thought about, and we can't just keep going around slapping buildings down for the sake of slapping buildings down. You know, because it isn't going to work. You know, it's not going to work doing that. So long term, as I say, we have to really think about what we're doing, where everything's going to go. Like I say, I think that's going to be prime mushroom polytunnel place, possibly here as well. But eventually I want to own the really big farmers market, you know, so where's that going to go, you know? So it might be that in the end we leave this available for that, but then we're going to need a car park. You know, is this area here going to be big enough for a car park? Is it suitable? Should this become the car park? That's the sort of things that we've kind of got to take into consideration, you know, as we're building. I think greenhouses here are the way to move forward. It could well be that, you know, the farmers market might be better here, and we can turn all this into car park and then separate that from there, because, you know, the farm, as I say, eventually, you know, we're going to need a combine, we're going to need a tractor, we're going to need, you know, we're going to start to need things, because if we want to sell our own bread, well, we need wheat, you know, we need chickens for eggs, because we want to be able to sell eggs. You know, it all needs to be kind of planned in. And, you know, as I was sort of walking up and down there and sort of taking the stuff, and thankfully for you guys that was in time lapse, so that, you know, was a couple of minutes, you know, whereas for me that was a little while. But it's like, right, you know, what am I going to do? So I said that I've already tried this. So basically what I did was, I edited loads of money, and I just tried all the productions to make sure they all worked and there was no issues. And I also made sure that all of the productions sold at the farmers market. So not that one, because I just don't think we'll have that. By the time we start to getting our own productions, we'll have, you know, we will have a much bigger farm shop. So the little wooden farm shop, I tried that one. They all worked there. They all worked at the big one. Yeah, all good. But let's carry on, because as I say, we you know, we're progressing very, very nicely at the moment. As soon as I realised everything worked, that was it. I stopped, because what I didn't want to do was I didn't want to play it out so that I made mistakes, so that by the time I come to do it and record it for YouTube, I already knew not the mistakes not to make. You know, so the point of this is that, you know, I may well cock up and may well do things that cost us a lot of money, you know, that you know, wastes a lot of our money and sets us back, you know, a long way. So that was the reason. But I needed to make sure, as I say, that everything kind of worked as it should, because I didn't want to be sort of a good way into the save and then we want to do something and then suddenly we find actually that doesn't work, or you know, the game is sort of bugged on that production at that point in time. But as I say, everything that I could think of doing worked and worked well. So as I say, we'll carry on. But today we'll get these sold again. Just have a quick look in here. We got a tractor, but we're nowhere near ready for having a tractor. Although having said that, of course, if we were to have a tractor, which we will be able to afford when we've sold these pallets, when we've sold this produce in our shop, but we could get a car trailer and then stack them. But I think, well, have my tomatoes gone mouldy? Oh no, it's snowing. Oh, snow is... So why has snow settled on the tomatoes and not the strawberries? And why am I growing strawberries in December? Oh no, January, beg your pardon. Yes, but I suppose it is in a greenhouse, to be fair to it. But yeah, so as I say, our tomatoes had, I thought they'd gone mouldy. It's like, what? I've never seen this before in the game. They weren't out here for 3 days. I'm clearing them every day. But yeah, so that's a cool little feature. But then if you're going to have it on the tomatoes, it needs to be on the strawberries, it needs to be on the spring onions, it needs to be on the garlics. And the garlics? Next time. It needs to be on the garlic, the lettuce, the chilies, and everything else that we sell. Anyway, never mind. But yeah, so we're, as I say, we're getting on okay at the moment. We'll pay another 10 grand off today. We may as well just keep sort of knocking off as much of the loan that we can, you know, that we can knock off. I was talking again to a very good farmer friend of mine. He was a YouTuber, and I was sort of having a little bit of a chat with him the other day, and I was saying, you know, like I was thinking about doing this because he, again, he watches my videos. So if you are watching this episode, thanks very much for watching. But I do watch yours. Yeah, so and I was sort of saying to him, you know, I was thinking about doing this. That's a really good idea. I've not seen that before on YouTube. You know, that's really good. You know, I really like the farm sim videos that do come out from everyone. You know, and I sort of watch as many as I can, time permitting and everything. And you know, he was sort of saying that, and I said, you know, the thing is, you know, I kind of need to move things sort of through quickly. And he was saying, well, not necessarily. You know, people enjoy the fact that you have nothing and then you work up. If you see, you know, he said, if you think of your 1950 series, you've basically started from nothing and you're working your way up. He said, like, yes, you're dictated to by technology and what was available and everything like that, but he said, I think that's part of the charm of that, is the fact that you're having to work really, really hard, you know, to get anywhere. And I said, yeah, but you know, I said, and I'm thinking about as well, like, even though I'm going to start with a mortgage, is now that's interesting. Now that greenhouse has not produced anything. In actual fact, they all look like they've died. They were misses. Oh, I've not had this before. They have, look, they've all died. Oh my god. I have never ever had this happen to me before. It's the same over there, look. Chili peppers, materials missing. Well, I don't have to supply any materials. That one's still producing. Oh. Does anyone know whether greenhouses have a period of time that they're productive for and then they're not and you have to replace them? How weird. Oh well. That's a big chunk of our... See, that one's still producing. And I put both of them down at the same time. Well, to be fair, I didn't put them down actually, because this actual farm build, you can actually play this yourself because this is a download. So I've downloaded this this build, this area, off of I can't remember what mod site it was on. What I'll do is I will go off and find that, and then if I remember, I will put the link to the mod, to the save game, in the description, and then you, as I say, you can then download this yourself, and you can use this yourself. So I didn't actually build any of this. I regret to inform you, I would have loved to have done, because it really is a super super map build, and as I say, my sort of massive congratulations and sort of well done to the person that did build them and then made it available for download so that everybody else could do this. Again, what I will do is I will find out who did the save file for everyone to use, and I'll put their name in the description as well, so that they get the rightful credit for all of the work that's been done on here. Basically what I've done is, so I've just changed it a little bit to suit the gameplay that I want to do, so it will look a little bit different to this. There's a rice field here. Just trying to think. You start off with loads of silage bales as well on the grass that's been pre-cut, but as I say, I didn't want any of that, so I just sort of changed it for you know, for what I was looking to do on this save. Do you know, that is weird, man. I have never had that before. Why do I keep getting the torch out? I have never had that before. What does that say? Owned by you. Yeah, which, yeah. Well, my farm, but owned by me. Missing materials. I'm interested to see whether that one dies overnight now, so we're going to run off to the house and we're going to do that one and see whether that one... Oh, hang on. First, just check. Oh, little sprayer available. Oh, that would be nice. That would be nice. But that's way too early for us. Right, we'll pay another 10 grand off. So what's the loan at now? 460,000. So we've paid 40,000 off. That's not too bad. I think it's 40,000. My maths isn't very good. I've told you a million times before, I suffer really badly from dyscalculia, which means I don't understand numbers. But I think from 500, it's 40 off if you're at 60. I'm sure that is right. It sounds right in my head. But just because it sounds right in my head doesn't make it right. I can't even keep bloody plants alive, so don't take no notice of me. Oh, it's hailing. Whoa. Let's get out of the hail. Oh yes, we don't want no blooming hail on us. Whew. I quite like, I don't know if you've ever taken any notice, but look, the bits of hail when they hit the ground, they bounce. Look, did you see that? If I keep the camera really still, the bits of hail are bouncing off the ground. That's another really nice little feature. You know, the more and more I play this game, the more and more I am falling in love with it. Yeah, so as I say, what I'm going to do is we'll just check the shop. Ooh. I don't really want to spend £25,000 though. Yeah, so as I say, but what we're going to do is I'm going to brave the weather and get those few pallets sold. and I'm going to go back over to a little bit of time lapse so that we can fast forward a little bit more time, and then what I'll do is I'll either bring you back in when something significant happens, or we'll do a little bit of time lapse, we'll have a little bit of a recap, then I'll do some stuff off camera to the first sort of kind of point of interest, because I do realise that this is going to be a very slow burner, you know, very, very slow burner, and I also need to figure out why my greenhouse has died. Oh, you know what I've done though. It's ran out of water, hasn't it? Oh, yes, look what that says on this one, look. Water, 37,000 litres. Water on here, I bet, is either not on, it's not even listed, look, because there isn't any. Oh, what a muppet. Oh well, at least we've solved the solved the issue. Anyway, as I say, well, hang on, we need to pay a little bit more of the loan off, so we will pay off this one, and then we will pay off 10,000 again. And as I say, I'm going to switch over to a little bit of time lapse, and we'll go back to having 2 greenhouses producing food for us, which is wonderful. Right, see you in a little while. Okay, so we are back, and we are doing very nicely, thank you. Yeah, it's going very well at the moment. Like I said before, the early part of anything like this is going to go steady, and that's certainly the case, but it is going very well. I think we're ready to put down our first new greenhouse. So I had a quick look, and which one was it under? I think it was under that one. Yes, this is something that I would be very interested in buying, because it means that obviously we'd be able to take more than 1 pallet at a time. Now, the actual price is 19,000, but there's an add-on there that we don't need, because I want the flatbed bit, so that's fine. Doesn't need wide tyres, so we can go down to just standards. The extension we can take off, although I haven't said that might be a bit handy for stacking. Yeah, so as I say, but that's 19,250, Ideally, I don't want to buy that brand new. I would like that to come available in the sale. But if it doesn't, because we're a year and 1 month in now, I think, from where we started, and like I say, we've got to stop doing, because this is just not an efficient way of doing it. And until we can kind of get other productions up and running, you know, it is a case of we are you know, just going to be skipping a lot of days, a lot of time, all of the time. As I say, contracting is not something really that I'm kind of in favour of doing, just because I could do so many and they would make me so rich so quickly. That I feel personally that that would detract from what I aim to achieve, because in real life, you know, when I sort of set out, you know, at 17, 18 with the ambition in life of doing it, you know, the one thing I didn't do was envisage that, and I don't think it would have happened, because where I live, there were three main contractors, and each contractor, I think, agreed amongst themselves that they would each specialise in a different area, so as they weren't competing for the same work. So we've got a sugar beet contractor in the village where I live, and obviously, you know, they contract in sugar beet, so they do, you know, a lot of farms in Lincolnshire, Norfolk. I think they go as far as Cambridgeshire and Suffolk now. But yeah, they do that. Where we've got then another sort of kind of more general contractor, so they do a lot of combining, a lot of carting. The other one, the sugar beet contractor, also does a lot of lorry contracting, but flatbed lorry contracting, so moving machinery and different things around the country and Europe. Again, I know that they've recently started to go out to sort of France and you know, into Europe. So that, you know, that business is gradually growing. They've got several lorries, and they do a lot of beet carting as well. The sort of more general contractor who's in the village, so they also do lorry work, but they tend to do more bulk work. So they're moving around sort of grains, and yeah, they do sugar beet, but they'll move just about anything bulk wise. And they do very little in the way of flatbed work, so they're not really moving machinery around. But the sugar beet farm or contractor, they just move sugar beet around what they harvest, so that's kind of like why they also do you know, a lot of lorry service. And then the other general contractor that we had in the village has now retired, and has since, as far as I'm aware, given his clientele to the other sort of general contractor, and they now service the farms that they were servicing. So I guess in a way now there's there's two contractors now in the village, but as I say, the third one retired, and his sons didn't want the business, so so they've retired and has since gone out of business. And that the one that's retired, that was someone that's literally started off with a shed and a field. That was how his father had started. His father started that when he was, I'm sure I remember him telling me when he was about 10 or 12, and then he sort of went to work for his dad full time at 14. And then, as I say, when he retired, which I think was last year, or maybe earlier this year, when he retired, they'd got just short of 1,000 acres. But their contracting business again took them far and wide, you know, and the latest John Deere equipment, because we've got a John Deere dealership in the village as well. So most of the farms around here are John Deere. Can't think of any that aren't. I can't think of any that are not John Deere. So yeah, that was the way. But as I say, I think for this save, I think contracting would detract from what was going on. As I say, mainly because I don't think in real life, had I have taken this path as I'd hoped to, that I would have been doing contracting. And the point of this save is that it's a bit like a survival challenge, I guess, in a way. Is that we're struggling. Yes, we've got 73,000 in the bank. Yes, we'll pay another 10,000 off the loan, off the mortgage. But as I say, I would now like to get the greenhouse, the mushroom polytunnel greenhouse thing laid down, so that we can now grow some mushrooms. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the video here, because we've got to our sort of, so each episode I want to try and kind of have the episode that works to the sort of main part of that particular episode. So this episode, it will be getting a mushroom polytunnel, and then, as I say, I will do a little bit more sort of grinding off camera, where I'm just doing the pallets every day, and then the next time we come in, we'll be looking to move another step further forward, so whether that's getting another greenhouse or maybe getting another mushroom polytunnel, so that we've got 2 of each, and we'll just keep building the business slowly that way. But as I say, I think for this episode we'll leave it here, but we will oh, they got added. We will add the mushroom polytunnel in, and we're going to go for the biggest ones. We're just going to save up the money and go for the biggest ones. Once we've got this in place, then we will also pay the 10,000 off the mortgage. So we will try and set this down as straight as possible. If I could just see that edge, that would really help. Yeah, that's square. As I say, we'll plonk that down there. Excellent. And that's now in. And then what we'll do is we'll go in. We will, if it will let me, yeah, come in here, and then what we'll do is we'll turn on and enable watering. But there is a thing to enabling watering, which actually I need to do for the other one, because I clearly didn't activate it. And that is that to enable watering costs us £5,000 for every greenhouse that we put up, or polytunnel that we put up, because that means that we've had it plumbed into the mains. Another thing that we will eventually need to get is a chainsaw. We need to move these trees. We'll move the 2 in the middle and leave the 2 end ones. But we will, and I'll just show you me doing it on camera so that you know that I did do it. So we will remove £10,000, so minus 10,000, and we will then pay the loan, and we'll pay 10,000 off that, because I want that loan paid up. I mean, don't get me wrong, it isn't going to be paid up for a very long time. What are we down to now? 395. So it's not going to be paid for a very long time. But we're knocking it down, and we're doing all right. And like I say, we will end this episode here. Oh, one thing I did want to look at. So we saw in that time lapse that we had a tornado, which I think was in this field here. It might have already been harvested. No, I don't want to buy it. I think it's already been harvested, or it wasn't this one. I can't remember which one it was now, but there was a tornado. It was this one, I think, or is it this one? Looks as if it's been replanted, but it came straight through here, and it literally obliterated this field of canola that was in it. It was this one. Yeah, it literally obliterated the canola. Anyway, thanks ever so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I really hope you're going to support this series, and like I say, eventually we're going to be, getting to the point where we are, farming, and we're, sort of growing and doing all of the good stuff that we want to do on the series. You know, it's going to take a while. It's going to take quite a long time, but it's something that you know, I hope that we're going to be able to achieve. And you know, we need to be growing our veg. We need to be growing our wheats for our flour and bread, and you know, bees for our honey and stuff like that. So you know, there's lots to do. You know, there's absolutely lots and lots and lots to do. Lots to sort of get through, and as I say, hopefully everyone will get behind and support, and we can make this a truly good or brilliant or whatever the word is series. Where, as I say, we've started with nothing. We were I think 10,000 in debt with a £500,000 mortgage from the property that we bought, and it would be nice to think that in time we can not only develop the area that we're on, but also maybe start to develop other areas too. But as I say, that will be for the future. But as I say, for now, thanks ever so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed this first episode. I really look forward to seeing the next one. Bye for now.